Alright guys, welcome. So today I'm going to be showing you what it takes and how to exactly warm up your Instagram account, but also the best way to go viral as of 2026, because there's a lot of new ways, but it's all about the basics, right? So I'm going to start off by saying that personally I've generated millions of views last year. End of Jan or Feb, I was making 100 million plus views on IG. I can put some screenshots up, but the reason why I eventually had to change the way I'm marketing was because, the views were great, but it comes at a cost, right? So if you go super viral with specific formats, which I'm gonna get into in a minute, that way you could get, unwanted leads. So like literally, I had to train the algorithm to go from getting me, hundreds of millions of views of unwanted leads all the way to getting me maybe 2 to 5 million views per month of high quality leads. So I'll be showing you exactly how I did it. And if you're wondering which one's better, this Q4, getting these, 2 mil, literally 2 mil to 5 mil views on your IG account per month, and you could be making 20k plus a month, okay? Straight up. So let's get started. Let's say you want to create a new account. As of right now, the best way to prime it is to create a niche growth page. Now, you may have heard this before. It's a fancy word for, other words, just creating a niche page. So if you have ever seen these like very specific topic pages, so whether it's for toys, whether it's for cars, whatever it was, but they always like repost viral content. That's what we're doing here. So you're going to create a theme page, niche page, whatever you want to call it, and repost viral content. Now it's up to you. I think recently they started like flagging content which is reposted. So what you can do is literally just give credit to the creator, and that way you could repost. Okay. Eventually, because you're reposting viral content, you're going to go viral. So that's the objective of this method, right? So you want to keep on posting, growing your following. And by the way, this is the best way to wait for your product. So let's say you want to order from Alibaba or whatever source you want to get your product from. By the time you receive the product, you could be growing your pages up to literally 10k, 50k followers. 50k is a bit of a stretch. I would say all the way to 10k is very realistic. Like I've seen people who got 5 to 10k within a week before they receive the product. So it's really easy. You just need to repost content, but you need to make sure that this content is very relevant to what you're about to post. So obviously you don't want to do that right after you create the account. So there's preferably a few steps you want to do. So let's say you create this new account. The very first thing I would say you should do is keep the bio, keep the profile picture away, okay? You just want to act normal. You just want to watch niche related content, okay? And do this for up to 3 days. Now, I want to make one thing very clear. There's no strict rule, okay? So it's not like this is 100% the only way to make it work. No, you could be doing whatever works for you, but this is what worked for me. And what I do is I just watch content. I act very normal. I literally like 1 to 5 times a day. Okay. And maybe on the second day I could add my profile picture, simple bio, don't even add a link. Okay. Obviously you don't even want to add a link until later after you go viral. So yeah, at the start, just get the likes, get the saves, do your research on who you're gonna compete with. So if you have any competitors, watch their content as well. I'm actually gonna give you some sauce for the car niche. For example, there's a trend. This is the original piece of content, okay? I wouldn't recommend that you post this. I would literally search up like the AI edits where people use this trend, and then they'll put like at the end of this walkway, whatever you want to call it, they'd put like a store or a car or whatever. Find the niche that you want, repost it, and that's how you go viral really quick. And yeah, find these trends, repost them, and then eventually you're gonna go viral. That's when you can introduce your product, Now, preferably have content prepared while you're warming up the account and reposting. So I would post on third day. So here you can save, you can find competitors and ideas. And then on day 3 is generally where it's best to start posting. You can post like 1 to 3. Again, nothing is strict, like you can do whatever you want, but generally don't want to post a lot on day 1. So in my opinion, don't even post once, post like at least 2. I feel like 1 is like the first post is always going to get 0 views, so you're better off posting more than less. You can even make it, I think 3 is good, and then you can slowly increase it. So that's the general like rule that I go for, but again, you could do whatever you want. It's literally just you and the algorithm. You're training the algorithm, what you like, what you watch, and what you post, right? Long enough, if you post long enough, eventually it's going to be so good at picking the audience for you, and that's when you find the right audience, even the right country that you're trying to target. So obviously there's a few luck aspects to it. So the warming up is important, obviously, because you're training the algorithm to find the right people for your account, but there's other factors which are really important to consider as well. Okay, so I want to break one controversy. A lot of people think that if you have someone in the US create you an Instagram account, for example, that means you're going to get US audience. I did this experiment and I wasted, well, it's not a waste, okay, but I invested 3 months for this project. I got someone to create me an account. I started posting. It has now over 10k followers, millions of views. And then to my surprise, the views were literally 80% unwanted leads. Okay. So long story short, it doesn't matter where the account was created. What more matters is, and by the way, I literally reset the phone. Like I did all the steps to get the US audience, but the only thing which I have not done was a US VPN. So my conclusion was that not using a US VPN was the reason why my views were not from the US. So even if you have someone creating you an account from outside, from like the target country that you would like to, market to, then it's not enough. You need everything to match, right? You need like completely formatted phone. So remove everything, all the metadata and so on. Create new Apple ID. Literally just a brand new page, brand new account, everything. And then make sure that the IP matches the whatever country you chose when selecting the phone and when you're creating your accounts. And that way it's going to work, okay? But that's for Instagram. For TikTok, US SIM card is enough, for example. So that's one thing to consider. But another thing, okay, so until this day, I don't post with VPN because of multiple reasons. One of them is it gets shadow banned. And it's not convenient, right? Like one mistake would cost you, the post that you're about to post. So it would literally go either to the wrong audience or your account is just going to shadow ban you or whatever. So I'm not going to take any risk. So I'm not using any VPNs. Instead, I have literally proved to myself that I can reach the audience that I want through different ways, okay? So I'm actually going to remove the US SIM card because we're talking about IG for now. The second best way, okay, is to find I wanted to say niche, but actually no. Because the niche will help you to find the right audience. But even if you go for a very generic niche where you're gonna literally attract everyone, could be from anywhere, like from the world, you can still select who's gonna watch your content. So the sounds that you use, the text, the format that you're going for. So if you go for a trend which is mostly known in the US, you're more likely to, get eyes from the US. What else? I'll give you a personal experience. So during Christmas, I went really hard on Christmas marketing to the point where my views have literally just, like, they went from me getting 20% US audience, or like even below. I was getting like 10% US audience on IG on one of my accounts. it went up to 25 to 30%, and then the other like remainder were literally from top countries. Okay, why? Because I went really hard on the seasonal marketing, so it only made sense that someone from EU, or at least like the majority of the views would come from EU and US. So that was eye-opening experience because it showed me that the sounds were one of the contributing factors, but then the formats as well. So I was using the top gifts for Christmas, which is a very good format to use. Next is the timing. Okay, maybe that was I'm pretty sure that's the number one reason actually. Okay, so I'm gonna put that at the top. The timing. The post timing is the most important thing by far, regardless of what format. Because you might be arguing like, okay, Christmas is over, what now? Like, what can I do now to get better leads? Well, the number one reason, or the number one way, in my opinion, to get better leads is to post at prime time. And prime time is around 6 p.m. CET all the way till 6 a.m. CET. Okay? Now, it could even be 5, you could argue 5 to 6, whatever you prefer, but between this time is the best to post personally. So why is that? Because it's like logical reasons. The audience you're trying to target are probably awake, and then other parts of the world are asleep. So that's the best way to put it. Let me see if I missed any other ways of targeting better audience. So timing, sound, the format, IP is optional, it's not mandatory. Let's see. I didn't write it, but this is like a big factor as well. The niche. It's really important. That's like one really important factor which a lot of people don't consider when picking a product. And nowadays, whenever I pick a new product, I always look at the niche and I ask myself, who is my target audience? Who's about to watch my content? Oftentimes you're gonna get the answer you're looking for. Like, will this person or this, audience buy my product? So if I were to add one, it's really the product. Like, there's few products which just attracts better quality leads because they're more needed by that, demographic. So that's for the last one, the products. And yeah, that's pretty much the best ways to, target your specific target audience. And this is coming from years of experience. Like, I had to test a lot of different ways, and these are by far my top ways. Back to the niche growth method, I want to give a note. This is an optional method. It's actually not the only way. I would argue if you are more of a beginner to an intermediate, this might be your best way. Because here's the harsh reality, right? The main reason why it takes a long time to go viral is oftentimes either because of the formats you're going for, the content, like the quality of the content, or just the sounds and other factors like, the account not being very primed or high quality. So these are some things to consider. And the reason I would argue it's better for beginners is because when you are picking a new product which you have no past experience with, even if you're somewhere in between, so you have like a year of experience, if you pick a new product, you're technically starting from scratch, because especially if you're changing the niche or the style of the content creation, then technically you're starting from zero, right? So it would take you some time, some posting to figure out what works and what doesn't work. For that reason, I would argue it's actually better to start a niche growth page just to get some momentum, get some following, some views, and that's when you introduce a product every now and then, see what works better, eliminate what doesn't work, and that's when you double down on what works. So this is on one side. But then if you're actually very confident about your content, for example, I've always given this one piece of sauce, which I hope you guys have noted. In my opinion, it's best to be the best at one thing. So pick one style or one niche of a product, and then do it long enough until you're the best at it. Why? Because whenever you're moving from one product to another, as long as it requires the same requirements, the same props, the same background, everything, then you're technically just changing the object you're holding. So in other words, you're applying this this momentum of whatever you've been practicing over the past few months or years. So let's say you've been running a product for 6 months, and then you switch to a new product which requires the exact same, background or movements. Okay, we don't want to talk about the props. It's easy to switch them, but it's more about the movements and the background, the style of how you record the content. So if you're, switching from that product to another where it requires the same skills, then your chances are you're going to go viral faster than switching to a completely new product where it requires completely different skills. So this is something that's really important to consider when you're switching from product to another. But then obviously if you're a beginner, then it's better to test everything and see what you're best at. But this is generally for people who has seen some success in a specific niche, gone viral, and they have considered themselves as good at creating content at that niche. Then it's better to stick to that. And it's not really just niche, it's more about the style, honestly. It's like the hand movements, the way you record the product than the niche. Because you can change the niche, but then stick to the same style, right? So if you're that confident with your content style, then you can just get into the product posting. You don't even need to post other people's content or like make a niche page where you just repost content. Instead, post your content long enough, eventually you're gonna go viral. So it's gonna reward you regardless for being consistent. So yeah, that's my general theme rule for how I post. And most of the time I actually go straight into the product. I post the product, and if it doesn't go viral, then I take accountability that, okay, it's my content, I need to change something. Either it's the format, the quality of the content, or it's unlikely that it's the product. Okay, it's actually most of the times it's your content or your format that is the problem. Okay, so now that you have a big list of how to actually get better quality leads, there's actually one missing point which I wanted to keep on a separate note, but we're gonna add it here, which is restricting by age. This is, I don't know when did Meta add this, but this is probably one of the biggest reasons as well why I was able to funnel down or like filter down the views to exactly who I wanna target. So restricting by age or country. Okay, so this is a feature you could do on your professional account on IG and Facebook, by the way, but on Facebook is a different story. I'm gonna get to it in a minute. Now there's a limit to what age you can limit these viewers to. So the limit is 25. So you can limit the views per country to 25. So whatever country you want, you pick it, you limit it to 25. So that's a great way to limit down or filter down the views to exactly who you want to actually watch your content. But again, it's like a double-sided sword. So although it's really good, but on the other side, it's really hard to go viral afterwards. So it's better off relying on really high quality content and really targeted content to find who you really want, and then literally just post 10 times a day with an average of 20 to 50k views. That's gonna make you print 1k days plus. So it's not really about the fancy millions of views. You could just restrict the countries by age to 25, create better content, post a lot. This is one misconception, big controversy where, oh, you need to post 3 times a day, 3-hour gap. No. As of right now, 2026, the best way to post is to go for 1-hour gaps, post like 10 times a day, literally. So that's what I did in Q4, and that's how I got 20k plus. So that's what I would advise anyone to do year round. Post as much as possible without limiting the quality. Okay, so keep the quality high, the quantity high as well, split test, and that way you can pull off like 20k on average views times 10, that's 100k per day views to the right audience. And that's how you could acquire really high quality leads and probably increase your CVR, because that's how I improved my CVR. All right, now let's move to the final point, which is trial reels. I know a lot of you guys have been asking for this. So the first thing I want to say about trial reels, it's not rocket science. You don't want to treat it like it's something completely different. It's the same thing. So whatever way you were posting on Instagram, treat it the same when doing with trial reels. So if you were posting once per hour, then right now it could be, so in this hour you would post original content or like a normal reel, and then next hour you would post a trial reel, and then next hour it would be original, next hour would be trial, and so on. Like this is just an example. These could be trial here as well. So the point is, whatever structure you had for your posting times, you could choose whether it's going to be a normal reel or a trial reel, okay? And the reason I actually said original here is because I always like to keep my new content to be posted as a normal reel. So in other words, original content as normal, and then whatever I'm reposting as trial or whatever I'm split testing. So let's say you've gone viral or something has performed better in the past, then you could take that same CapCut project and duplicate it, change the hook or the text or the sound, export, and then post it again as trial. So that's what a split test is. You're reusing the same content, whether literally the same content or recreating. So you could literally go and recreate the same content just for the fact that it has performed better in the past. So therefore you're gonna recreate it. That's split testing. So there's a few ways to split test, okay? Hopefully that was clear. You could either reuse the same old content, change the text, change the hook, change the sound, or recreate it but better. So under these two conditions, if you're recreating it, then it's better to go as a normal reel. And then if you're just putting the same content, just changing a few things here and there, better off putting it as a trial reel. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Hopefully this was clear though. If there's one thing which I would probably have to go more into would be split testing, but I'm probably gonna have to create a video where I just create content and edit it for you guys to show you how to truly split test. But yeah, again, it's like in simple terms, just take the piece of content that went viral in the past, duplicate it on CapCut, remove the hook, put a new hook, that's one. Or if you don't want to remove the hook, change the text. You could mirror some clips, add a new sound, new text, new font, change maybe the lighting, the shadows, and yeah, export it and post it again. That's how split testing works. Now that only works on Meta. On TikTok and other platforms it wouldn't really reward you. It would probably shadow ban you. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you guys have learned something new. If so, subscribe and join my Discord. It's in the bio. The final thing is, if you would like to join my affiliate program, we also have, literally it's free. You join the team, you work with me, you get a free mentorship, cuts per sale, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.